Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Planet Film Network. I am one of your hosts, Sean Monk.
I'm your host, TJ Cornwell.
And tonight we are going to be talking about just a couple of things. We're going to be doing a quick game just like we did last show. We're going to be talking about kind of one bombshell news story is it breaking news or did Jeff Snyder cover it 5 months ago? We'll talk about that. And then after that, it is going to be full force Daredevil Born Again talk. Obviously, we didn't go live last week. Scheduling issues, just literally, we were like, going to go live on Wednesday, going to go live possibly Thursday, going to record on Saturday. It was just a crazy week. So we appreciate you guys bearing with us. But honestly, I kind of like this better. I think these first 3 episodes are really going to be a great conversation. So I'm very excited to get into that. Before that, I know we kind of went over in our pre-show what we were going to talk on, but just real quick, obviously, I know your thoughts. We watched it together. We also missed the Oscars recap. Quick thoughts on the Oscars. Anora sweep. Crazy. What were your thoughts? Conan?
Yeah, I thought Conan was really good. A little surprised, I guess, about the Anora sweep. You know, when we were doing our predictions, I had thought differently. So that was a surprise. Thought Adrian Brody's speech was I know people like thought it was like
preachy or like douchey even.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I was not a fan of the like, I've done this before, you know, let's halt the music, okay? Like he went on for a long time.
I mean, in the moment, we knew it was going on for a long time, but I mean, like the next day when they said it was 6 minutes, I did not think it was 6 minutes. Like that's like,
meanwhile, Killian standing in the back, like, can we fucking?
Oh my god, I know, most socially awkward man on the planet. He's right. Like, please let me go home.
The Amelia Perez, they won the best song. That was their speech was a little weird.
Yeah.
The like starting to sing. It was really weird.
I told Brianna, I said that's like the lunch table that you don't want to sit at.
Right. Yeah. Overall, I thought it was a good ceremony. Did we ever get the numbers for like viewers?
Yeah, and then Shelly in chat says Brody's speech was awkward. He was kind of full of himself.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people felt a lot of things about his speech. I know Roxy Stryer, who's a YouTuber that, you know, we both know, she was very passionate about all the anti-Semitism stuff that he was talking about, which is totally fair. I think that is rightfully so. Obviously, Adrian Brody, you know, huge member of the Jewish community. Obviously, both of his, not only that, but in the setting of the Oscars, both of his Oscars extremely tied to roles, extremely tied to Jewish culture. So totally made sense for him to talk about it in the speech. That being said, I think he just stumbled and meandered and didn't really land his points. You know, I had no problem with the context of what he was saying, but if you're gonna, like you said, if you're gonna cut off the music and be kind of douchey about like, I've done this before, I'm wrapping up, and then you go on for another 3 minutes of going, what else? I just didn't really like the vibe of that, but I think totally, obviously, I think you agreed, totally deserving win.
Although I will say, like, obviously, I'll never be in that position. So, but I would imagine.
You never know. Morgan Freeman started at 41.
If I was ever in that position for any sort of award, I would probably be the same way.
Yeah, and I totally get the aspect of you're up there. You don't know if you're ever going to get there again, you know? And even more specific to Adrian Brody, he's a guy who was up there, spent 20 years thinking, well, I'm never going up there again, and then got up there again. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's difficult. You know, he's the second longest gap between Best Actor wins. So that's like, you know, kind of an interesting thing that, you know, it is kind of a special moment for him, but I still think kind of side railing a lot of stuff, making Cillian Murphy uncomfortable is never good in my book. So that was kind of interesting. In terms of the numbers, it was slightly up on last year. I know there's a big uproar because the Monday after, everyone was reporting that the numbers were down. And then they were like, oh no, we got it wrong. The numbers were actually up. Not like crazy substantially up, but the numbers were definitely up, and it would be wrong to say otherwise. But just an incremental up. And then the last thing I'll say on the Oscars, I thought Conan. I personally thought that he was kind of dying up there with how dry some of his getting a little technical here, but I just have watched so much Conan.
Mm-hmm.
This beat work where like he kind of trapped himself in the clap clap clap. I saw Nora, I loved it. Clap,
Yeah.
clap, clap. I also saw Conclave, I loved it. Clap, clap, clap. It was a little a little bit, but
yeah,
I thought he did fantastic, and I thought, to me, what's more important than the monologue almost is how the host acts throughout the show.
mm-hmm.
I thought all of his other bits were like fantastic. Like everything throughout the show. The Kendrick Lamar joke was like maybe the most perfect of the night. I thought that the LA fires, the firefighters bit was funny, that they're so brave that he's giving them the jokes that he doesn't want to say.
Right.
I thought that was fantastic to get them in on the humor and everything. And then, I mean, I don't think it's any secret. I have literally looking at the poster right here. Honora has just been on my radar all year long. I love Sean Baker's films and everything. I loved Mikey Madison in this movie. And so I'm very happy with the overall result. And I will say my best Oscars ballot ever. I went 19 for 24, which was like crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, I did better than Gold Derby, and I did better than Scott Mans, which I never thought I would say that. But yeah, so pretty good Oscars. I think bring Conan back. Honestly, I'm not a person who even had a problem with Jimmy Kimmel, but you just got to change it up from time.
Yeah.
So if Jimmy comes back a couple years down the road or whatever, that's fine. But and Danielle even said this when we were watching it, like, just it needs to be comedians. That's who it needs to be. Jimmy, Conan, have Howard Stern host. You know what I mean? Like, go outside the box. Get somebody that's like, that's who's hosting the Oscars. And when I say comedians, I think like there was the rumor of like Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. I think just funny actors are also very, very good. As we've seen with Hugh Jackman in the past, and like Billy Crystal, somebody who's an actor and a comedian. I think would be great. So just keep switching it up, but definitely bring Conan back, because that he just like crushed it on every level. And he was very respectful and serious when he needed to be, and somber when he needed to be, when he was talking about serious stuff. And I like the AI child labor joke. I thought that was funny. We said no AI, but we did.
I thought the movie theater thing, that bit was funny.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Together
I mean, for us, that's like, I mean, a lot of people loved it, but like our entire, circle of friends, obviously, as me and TJ worked in movie theaters for a long time together, and then still separately now. Yeah, that was like amazing. We glued 800 smartphones together. How do I start it? We start it for you. I thought that was like so good. And then yeah, totally agree with Shelly. Bring back Billy Crystal. I thought that his bit was hilarious. Billy Crystal was hilarious when he got up there. Have him host the whole damn show. Really, really good. All right, if you guys want to talk Oscars or anything like that, the call link is down. It's tricky. I really should kind of swap this maybe, but I don't really know how to. It says above me, call in below. So go below me to the link in the description. I also put the link in the chat if you want to call in, if you want to talk Oscars, if you want to talk Daredevil, if you want to talk Sadie Sink. We will get to all of that. But before that, you guys really enjoyed it last time, and me and TJ definitely really enjoyed it. So we are going to start the show off again with a little movie grid. So this is a really cool game. As you see, Jeff Probst there, Survivor. Did you know that Jeff Probst like writes, show runs, executive produces, directs, and obviously hosts? Like, he is the showrunner on Survivor. I didn't know that either. They had on the Town podcast with Matt Bellany that I listened to, they had just the overall content chief at CBS on. And they talked a whole bunch about Survivor. And she was like, Jeff like runs that show. Like, that is his show. He is the showrunner. I was like, he's the showrunner? That's so much work. But hey man, he's making the money. All right. So if you don't know, basically this is think kind of Sudoku, but with movie stuff. Kind of is the best way to put this. So you basically have to match up these categories. I will say, last show that we did, I think we got a particularly tough one. We also couldn't read one of the category names right, so we were being very hard on ourselves, thinking it had to be an H. Turns out it was any letter from A all the way to H. So we definitely could have done that. But all right, first off, where do you want to start? I'll let you jump in. Also, if you have any guesses, throw them in the chat, but we probably will not we'll try not to steal.
I feel like Matt Damon, either you could do real person or vowel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of Oppenheimer for either of those. It's probably the easiest.
I feel like Oppenheimer might be a better bet in real person because you don't immediately think of that.
Yeah.
But you would immediately think of Oppenheimer for vowel.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought of one for vowel. So we're going Oppenheimer with this. 42%. Begins with vowel. You ready for this one? Elysium. Boom. 7.3. So it's kind of like Sudoku, but also golf. You want to get as low percentage as possible because the lower the percentage, kind of the more niche your guess is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool that way. Ed Norton. I mean, do we want to go just complete unknown?
I feel these are the easiest. I feel like just to knock them out. Like again, it's probably like
80%.
80%.
Emma Stone. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go Battle of the Sexes, which is the incredible, in my opinion, tennis movie that she was in with Steve Carell like 10 years ago. 55%.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how many real people Emma Stone has really played, though.
Yeah.
I feel like she very rarely will do a biopic. Okay, begins with vowel.
vowel.
I feel like for her, the most obvious is Easy A.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which is like funny, given that it's literally called Easy and then a vowel. But what about 3 or more word title?
What was the movie she literally
Spider-Man
just did?
2?
Wasn't that
Kinds of Kindness?
Yeah.
That's an option.
Well, hold on. Let's think it.
What do you think would be more? Kinds of Kindness or The Amazing Spider-Man 3 or 2? Sorry, there was no 3.
I feel like Kinds of Kindness would be less guessed.
Yeah,
like it would be a lower percentage. I mean, personally, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of other movies.
Is La La Land 3 words? La Land.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they would be counting that as a word. They would be counting each la as a word, I would think.
Yeah. I'm good with Kinds of Kindness if you want, because
Okay.
I think that I agree with you that even though it's recent, I think it would be low-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Boom.
Perfect.
There we go. Cool. All right.
3 or more
word.
Oh, I was thinking, which Bourne movie is he in? He's in a few, right?
Oh, wait, no. What about We Bought a Zoo?
That might work.
That's 4 letters, or that's 4 words. Is there anything else, Matt Damon? Like, I feel like with this category, the longer the name, the better, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Are we locking in We Bought a Zoo?
What about? Oh no, that's one word. I was thinking of downsizing for a second.
Oh yeah.
You
like that movie?
Never seen it. I heard it was bad.
It is bad, but it's got that Alexander Payne like vibe to it, and so like I like it. But
I was thinking Goodwill. Well, that's 2 words. Never mind.
No, that's 3. Goodwill Hunting.
Okay, but I think We Bought a Zoo is a better
Yeah, it's like a more niche guess.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go. I'm happy with that. Wow. He said, I didn't want this dream. I thought this is what you wanted. Man.
So for Edward Norton, I'm thinking like American History X. I know X is a letter, but
okay.
So I don't
know that it's a big budget movie.
Yeah.
But what do we think would be a lower percentage? American History X or Incredible Hulk? I know it's a big budget movie, but nobody thinks about that movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think American History X would be the lower
Smaller.
one. But does it count? That's the question. Does it count?
Yeah, it begins with a vowel.
Oh, I was talking about for the 3 words.
Oh.
But no, for a vowel, that works too. I would do...
Well, maybe we could do Incredible Hulk for vowel and then American History X for 3 words.
I would do American History X for the vowel.
Okay.
Because
there's got to be other ones that are longer.
Well, I'm worried about the X.
Oh, you don't think they would you don't think they would take that as...
I don't know. That's why I'm...
What the hell is Schlock, the Secret History of American Movies?
That's why I'd be nervous.
Oh, 36.
Okay, that's actually higher than I thought. So, whoops.
Okay, what about 3-word title for Edward Norton? We're doing way better on this than we did last
it's not
time.
The Incredible Hulk, is it? It's Incredible Hulk.
I think it is the... No,
or
I think it is the...
Is that the Ang Lee one? Is The Incredible Hulk?
No, that's just Hulk.
Oh, okay.
It is The Incredible Hulk.
Okay.
I think we should, because it doesn't
say... you could think of a different one.
It would say ignore the, if if it was ignoring it.
Unless you can think of a better answer.
I'm like trying to think, like Primal Fear. That's
What about... Oh wait, what about... What do you think would do better? Was he in
The Incredible Burt Wonderstone?
I was gonna say, was he in Grand Budapest? But he wasn't.
Oh yeah, let's think about Ed. Let's no,
Wes
that's
Anderson.
good though. Let's think about Wes Anderson.
He
was in Grand Budapest, wasn't he?
I don't think so.
Wasn't he in like the Jeff Goldblum like bike stuff? Well, he was definitely in French Dispatch, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Was he?
He was in one of like the newer ones.
Was he in Steve Sisu? That's a long ass name.
I never seen that one, so I couldn't tell you.
Like Life Aquatic.
Yeah.
I don't know why I called it Steve Sisu when it's usually shortened to Life Aquatic, but I feel like you're right though. I feel like we should hold off on Hulk and go the Wes Anderson route. All of Wes Anderson movies are escaping me. Was he in Asteroid City? Of course he was.
Didn't see it.
Asteroid City is only 2 words. God damn it.
Yeah, it's only 2 words.
Shit, man.
What was that movie he did with Bruce Willis, like right before COVID? Was that? Was that 3 words?
My God! Oh my God! Death to Smoochie.
Death to... I don't even know what that is.
That's gonna be like 0.1%. Yes.
5. Nice. Yes. Is that with Robin Williams?
Yeah, that's the one with Robin Williams. Where
it's on my watch list.
It's incredible, and Danny DeVito. It is so good.
That was a good poll.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, I was like, that is going to be so low. I honestly, 5% is like way higher than I thought it was.
What was that movie he did with? I think it's 2 words.
You said with Bruce Willis?
Yeah, it was like right before COVID. It came out.
Oh yeah, Memoirs of Murder.
No.
Is that what it's called?
No, it was
something like that.
Motherless Brooklyn. That was
Motherless Brooklyn. I said Memoirs of Murder. Is that the Bong Joon-ho movie? What movie am I thinking of?
You're thinking of Memories of Murder.
Oh, okay, yeah. I knew it was an M. Motherless Brooklyn. That's right. That's what it was. Man, you know what's kind of sad? And you just said it indirectly. Is like, I feel like we've been living so long now with the Bruce Willis news.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that guy was like acting in things like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah,
it's like it was like I like was looking something up and I was like, man, Bruce Willis was just in that. That's so sad. Oh man, that's so sad.
He was in Grand Budapest. So.
He was.
Yeah. I mean, this is the better answer. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, begins with.
I feel like this one could be easy. Oh, Amazing Spider-Man would count. Easy A would count. I feel like Easy A would be lower than Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, this is what I love about this game is it's not just guessing it. It's like you got to try and guess like the oh, I just saw one. Yeah, Michelle just said
Aloha.
Aloha.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
That's the one that she got in trouble for.
For what?
Because she plays a very convincing part Asian woman. Remember?
Oh, I never
That was
heard it. No, I've
that
never
was the
seen
last movie that Cameron Crowe ever directed,
that.
and it was like so bad, and there was so much backlash that he just like retired after it, which is like crazy. I mean, I think Aloha is pretty good.
She plays an Asian woman?
A part Asian woman.
Oh. Interesting.
Do we want to go Aloha?
Yeah, go with that. I feel like that might be.
Yeah, I mean, considering neither one of us thought about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. We're done.
15. That's higher than I thought.
Boom. All right, let's see. Now, and this is another reason I like this so much is it gives you like stats, you know?
Right.
So we were in the top 21% of players today.
All the Sexes was the most popular.
Wow. Maybe that's the oh no, well, it can't be the only one because there's 46% out or 44% out there of something else. Easy A, yeah, 66%. That would have killed us. Goodwill Hunting.
Oh, Glass Onion.
Oh, Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. That's why it's so long. Yeah, Complete Unknown, Oppenheimer. Interstellar for Val for Damon.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's good. Okay, and then this is my favorite one, is the rarest guess.
The Interview.
The Interview. Plays a real person. Oh, because she plays herself in The Interview.
Oh,
that's kind of cheating. But yeah. And then Battle of the Sexes for 3 words is 0.05 or 0.5. Wow. Unsane. Okay. That's the iPhone movie from what's his face? The Zero Theorem. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Again, I feel like it's kind of cheating
if you play yourself.
to play yourself. I do feel like it's kind of cheating to play yourself, but whatever. Down in the Valley. Everyone Says I Love You. I mean, I don't even know what like some of these movies are. Who's guessing this stuff?
Half those I've never heard of.
Yeah, that's literally. Yeah, literally half. That's crazy. All right, well, that was sorry, my cat is like going insane right now.
There you go.
All right, well, that is that. That's very, very fun. We will definitely be doing that next show as well. Let's see here. Our first and kind of only story here is Sadie Sink, star of the I don't know if you've heard of it, but star of the hit Netflix program Stranger Things, has officially, you know, it's by deadline, by the trades, has been official. Oh, it's by Justin Kroll. I'm okay saying, I'm pretty confident in this. Has been cast in Spider-Man 4, currently untitled Spider-Man movie. Now this obviously comes with the knowledge that I believe 4 months ago, or maybe even 5 months ago at this point, Jeff Snyder reported on the Hot Mic, which is a podcast that he does. He also has the Insider newsletter, that Sadie Sink was being heavily looked at for the role of Jean Grey at Marvel Studios. So I throw it to chat. I throw it to anybody watching. I throw it to you, TJ. She is officially going to be in the MCU. Now, the question is this a new role? Is this Jean Grey showing up in Spider-Man 4? Or is this maybe the Jean Grey thing didn't work out and we are looking at maybe is this our Gwen Stacy? Or really anything. I feel like it's kind of an open book. The only thing I don't think it is, which I've seen a lot of people speculating, is that she's going to be playing Mary Jane. We already have MJ. So I don't know why they would introduce a second MJ. And I get that this MJ is not, her name isn't Mary Jane, but her name is Michelle Jones Watson. Her name is MJ Watson. So I don't think they're going to ever undo that. But yeah, Sadie Sink officially now will be joining the MCU pre-Secret Wars. So we probably see her in a lot of different things coming up. What do you think? Who do you think she will be playing? Do you think it's Jean Grey? Do you think it could be Gwen? Do you think it could be Black Cat? I don't know. Green Goblin?
No, I don't think so.
Finish it.
I don't know. I kind of believed that whole Jean Grey thing. Well, that was like what was that? Like a month or two ago? I feel like
That was like 4 months. That was like
4 months.
November or December. Yeah. That was a
Yeah, I feel like
long
it's
time
gonna
ago.
be it's gonna be a bigger role, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it'll be, something small.
Yeah.
I don't know how, if it is Jean Grey, I don't know how you work that into a Spider-Man
Spider-Man movie.
story.
Yeah.
Specifically. Granted, I don't know much about that character specifically, or like a crossover that has ever happened, like comics before. I could be completely wrong. So I would think, like you said, like she'd be one of the ancillary characters to a Spider-Man story. I just don't know which one. But also, like I said, like I feel like coming off of Stranger Things too, you want her to have a bigger role. So how can you convert whatever the role is going to be into something bigger into the universe? I don't know. So we'll see. I think it'll be I would like it to be Jean Grey, because it also seems like they're going younger with the X-Men as well. So that kind of tracks. But again, I just don't know how it flows over. You know what I mean? Like how this like really fit. But plus, just like real quick, when I think Jean Grey, I think X-Men, I'm thinking larger, story, where I know they've kind of gone back and forth on whether this movie is going to be smaller, grounded, or like some big gigantic thing. And it seems like they're moving towards the giant kind of narrative. So that would track, even though I am kind of disappointed if that is the case.
Yeah, I think oh hey, there you go. Get your geek on.
Get your geek on.
Get your geek on. Also, shout out somebody slid into our Instagram DMs today, and I cannot remember. It was called like MCU's agent or something like that.
Yeah.
Shout out them. They're looking to possibly collab with us. So I got to remember to message them back. So thank you to them. And also thank you to Get Your Geek On Network. Welcome. First time viewer, just subscribe. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Get Your Geek On. If you want to, the call line is open. So down below me in the description, you can go ahead and call in. You can collab right now if you want to call in. Calls we usually keep to about 1 to 2 minutes. Get your quick thoughts on some stuff. So if you want to talk about who you think Sadie Sink is going to be playing, who you think, or what you thought of Daredevil, probably spoiler free on Daredevil, or anything like that, link is in the description and in the chat. Just make sure that your mic is on and your camera is off so that we can pull you in as an audio. And the calls are open. So we appreciate that. I am two minds of this. I really, really want the Jean Grey thing to be true, because she would just be so. First of all, I think just we got to say straight out, Sadie Sink, incredible actress. I mean, she just came onto this, like stormed onto Stranger Things a season late than everyone else. Instantly became a huge fan favorite character, and like basically just like. Honestly, in a way, kind of took over that show. I mean, Max is like a huge character in that show, and obviously up in the air with where we're going to see Max in the final season. But can play anything, can really be a lot of different things. Obviously, her work in The Whale was exceptional, in my opinion. So I really, really am glad that she's joining the MCU in any capacity. I want the Jean Grey thing to work. I agree with you that I don't really see how you link that together, especially if it's going to be like a bigger role, or like even a decent size role. Like I could totally see, just the New York of it all. Like Jean Grey is typically from, not like Manhattan, but she's usually from New York. So I could see that, maybe a classmate or anything. But also, if I'm being totally honest, I wouldn't mind if we're gonna go on a full Gwen Stacy Spider Gwen arc. If you're telling me that our Spider Gwen in the MCU is Sadie Sink, I am all on board for that. If you're telling me that she's gonna be a Gwen Stacy who goes to a clock tower after one movie, I do not want that. But if she's gonna be a Gwen Stacy that will continue in this universe and build and everything like that, and become, one of the heroes that we love in the MCU, I think that would be fantastic. But yeah, I mean, so really, really excited by this news, but just really interested to see how it all shakes out. And obviously we won't know anything for a while. But last question on this for you. Does this mean, I mean, Spider-Man 4, we're going to start filming soon, push back, the script's being worked on, yada, yada, yada. Do you think a casting announcement, as big as this kind of signifies that we're going to get the ball rolling here pretty soon? Or do you think this could still be like back burner?
I would hope so. Didn't it say it was releasing like next year, or did it say filming?
As of right now, it's releasing July 28th, 2026.
Yeah. So I would assume that if you're going to do that, then you would probably start very soon.
Yeah.
Because you're running out of time.
And to be fair, Fantastic Four, people doubted Fantastic Four too. That started filming in July of last year, and that they, at least for now, that's seemingly coming out on time.
Right.
All right, you're gonna go to the call. Chuck, I see you waiting in there. Can you turn off your cam just because we join as audio calls, so it bumps the layout. You know what I'm talking about. Can you mute your mic back and forth to signal that you're ready to go? Perfect. All right, we are going to go ahead and bring in Chuck, who's a first-time caller here. So we are going to hear from him right now. Chuck, can you hear us?
Yes, absolutely, guys. Thank you for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Yeah, perfect. Of course. Thanks for joining. What do you want to talk about?
Well, first of all, I love what you guys are talking about with the MCU stuff. We at Get Your Geek On, we work very closely with the DC side of things, so we've got a lot of people there that we've worked with for years. But what I'm hearing with the MCU stuff is I think she's going to be playing Mary Jane with the Sadie Sink side of things, because the Jean Grey stuff, as much as she's been pitched for that over the past couple of months, from what I'm hearing with what they're doing with the Spider-Man 4 story, it's really going to lean into the MJ because of the whole him embracing Spider-Man side of things now rather than the Peter Parker identity. But the one thing I wanted to get you guys' opinion on is I'm hearing really, really strong rumors of Margaret Qualley as Rogue, which I personally had pitched her for Wonder Woman. I think she's young enough now where you could sign her to a long-term deal for Wonder Woman. But I wanted to get your thoughts on that. I thought she was amazing in The Substance. I've recently become aware of her work. But I want to think of what you guys think of her possibly playing Rogue in the MCU.
TJ?
Yeah, I think that's a really good casting. I think she's kind of primed for a breakout. Not that The Substance wasn't a breakout role, but a
breakout franchise role,
franchise. Yeah, because I mean, I feel like I first saw her Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I might have seen her before then, but since then, I feel like she's been doing kind of some lower budget indie kind of projects. And then I feel like the MCU would probably either DC or MCU, whatever happens, but.
Which is, you got to figure
the next step up.
With what they're doing with the X-Men, I mean, you got to figure that they're looking to sign people to 3 to 5 film deals to start. Right. So, I mean, I feel like she's right at that level, kind of where Sebastian Stan was when he first signed on as Winter Soldier and signed that 9-film deal. And then, over time, his star has risen, immensely. I feel like she's kind of right at that breaking point right now. And then also, I just want to get your thoughts on the Jesse Plemons as Beast rumors, because that's one of the few castings I was like, I can actually see that. I can see him both as Hank and Beast. I mean, I know everyone loves Kelsey Grammer, but with what we're going to be going forward with this whole new, mutant saga in the MCU, I think he's one of those names that could actually be a big draw.
Yeah, for sure. I just real quick on the Margaret Qualley. I really think, for me, just throwing this out there because you brought up Wonder Woman. For me, I think I'm gonna mess up her name. Adriana Arjona from Andor, I think, is currently my not that I really think about who I want to play Wonder Woman all that much, but until we get there. But just across the deck in Hollywood, I just think she would be so perfect right now. But I think Margaret Qualley, if you're going a younger Diana to grow with that role across many films, would be great. But yeah, I heard the Rogue stuff. I think I think she would be fantastic as Rogue. I think she has the look. She kind of has a little bit of that early 2000s Anna Paquin energy to her, to her presence. And obviously, some people loved Anna Paquin in that role. Some people thought it should be somebody else. I grew up with those movies, so to me, Anna Paquin is Rogue until we get another definitive version. And then Jesse Plemons is Beast. I mean, that is chef's kiss, perfect. It's out of reach right now, but I have 3 Beast Funko Pops right back there. I love Hank McCoy so much. But Jesse Plemons would literally be like, I mean, that would give me like so much confidence in the direction that we're going with the new X-Men. And also just as a fan, like that's like to see him play that character and get monologues, like Kelsey Grammer had, bring that gravitas, but also that kind of like leadership, like mentor role too. Because I would assume if it's Jesse Plemons, he would be an older member of the team, like one of the older teachers. But yeah, I think that would be fantastic for TJ. What do you think about Plemons as Beast?
Yeah, another one that I feel like is kind of poised. Not that he's not, again, like he's very well known. Obviously, he's done a lot of movies, obviously Breaking Bad, very popular show he was on. But again, another one where I feel like he would benefit from having that kind of big exposure from one of these universes. I guess my question for that then would be like, we saw Kelsey Grammer at the end of the Marvels. So like, do you think they would do like?
I think all this stuff is post Secret Wars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think now obviously, could the last 15 minutes of Secret Wars be a place that we could already start to see some of these faces sooner than an X-Men movie? Maybe. But also if other rumors are to be believed, it sounds like X-Men is going to be the movie right after Secret Wars. So some of these like casting announcements seem to be overlapping because I think Marvel's they're cooking some stuff up when it comes to their post Secret Wars output. But yeah, Chuck, thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate it. We go live every Wednesday at 7:00. So we will be here next week, schedule permitting.
Awesome, guys. I will see you next week. Thank you guys so much for the time, man. Love the content.
Chuck, where can people find Get Your Geek On?
So we are on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, all that. It's Gygo Network, GYGO Network. We work very closely DC news breaking. So if you guys are DC fans, come to that side of things. But love what you guys are doing here, man. Love the content. Keep it up. And you guys got weekly viewers from us, man.
Perfect. Thank you.
No problem.
All right. That was awesome. So if you want to be like Chuck, go ahead, hit that link. It's in the chat. It's in the description. Just make sure you got camera off, microphone on, and we'll pull you guys in for an audio call if you want to talk to us about anything. But from here on out, I think we are going to move on over and talk about the man without fear. And that is, of course, Matt Murdock. Charlie Cox is back after 7 years off the air, ? 7. Yeah. 7. Yeah. Right. 2018. After 7 years off the air, although we've seen him pop up in a couple different things in a Spider-Man movie of his own, and as well as She-Hulk, Echo, a couple different places, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. So we have not been absent of Daredevil or Kingpin for that matter. Kingpin also popping up all over the place lately as well. But this is officially Kingpin and Daredevil back in their own series. So I'll tell you right now, we're going to do a little bit of just where we're at with the show.
Yeah.
And then we're going to kind of get into spoilers of episode 1 and 2. And then we're going to end the live stream with our thoughts on episode 3, with our spoiler thoughts on episode 3. So TJ, I will throw it to you. First things first, now that we've gotten episode 1, 2, and 3, how are you feeling about this show overall? Everything they did in episode 1, everything they did in episode 2, and everything they did in episode 3.
I'd say so far I am having a really good time with it. I forget exactly when I finished seasons 1 through 3 of Netflix Daredevil. It was probably at least a year ago.
Was it your first time watching?
Yeah, it was my first time watching.
Oh,
and I would like to go back at some point. And really loved the show when I watched it, and then I was really excited for this, and then obviously it kind of went through that whole kind of, we're writing it, and it's more of this thing, and everybody was up in arms like, okay, why are you doing that? So then they rewrote the entire thing, and now it's back to more Netflix gritty street level type feeling. So I would say the first 3 episodes have been good. I would say the first episode, I felt a little rushed. I don't know if that was just me. It felt like I thought the opening was really, really good, really strong. I know some people had some complaints with the CG. I would agree to an extent, as far as maybe hopping building to building, that kind of stuff looked a little wonky, I would say. But I thought the fight choreography was awesome. But I just felt like the first 2 episodes, they just felt like a little rushed, where it was a lot of exposition, and obviously what happens in the first 10 minutes happens, and then how, Matt Murdock is dealing with that, and then Fisk running for mayor and all this stuff happening in 2 episodes. And I feel like it does a pretty good way. Does a pretty good job setting up for episode 3, which I think is probably the best out of the 3. So I'm really excited to see where it goes. It is, again, like I'll say, I think it is moving. It's moving fast, I would say. Would you agree? We just got introduced. Well, actually, no, I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to say anything. But I would say some stuff happens in season 3 where it's like that was fast. Like,
or
like we just got to this one point, and now we're at this other point.
Yeah,
and we still got however many, what is it, 15 episodes to go.
No, and this season's only 9.
Oh, 9. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought
because they split
the
18. It is 18, but they split it. That's what a lot. So many people were, and so many people are confused on this because Kevin Feige went out on the stage and said it will have 18 episodes.
Yeah.
But I think they just split the order into 2 parts.
Okay.
But correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's already like reports that they're obviously well into.
They said
they're obviously well into filming season 2, but
right.
I think season 3 is probably assured, I would say.
Yeah.
But
I would say real quick, someone who kind of, I feel like, stands out not in a great way is Michael Gandolfini. I don't really know what his character is doing. I guess he's just kind of sucking up to Fisk, and I'm assuming something else will happen, and the other shoe will drop. I'm very interested as well, just to see, because they've said, Deborah Ann Wall and what's the guy who plays
Eldon Henson,
they'll be back for season 2. So I'm really interested as well to see how that works. I'm assuming there's gonna be flashbacks and all that stuff, but overall, I would say strong start. A little rush, but strong start.
For sure. I mean, for me, I think overall, and I say this as like, I know you liked it, and I know majority of people liked it. I feel like I came out even more positive on episode 1 in particular than a lot of people. I was very shocked at kind of the, for those who don't know, I've been off, pretty much, I have been off all social media for over like a year now, except for Instagram I post pictures on, and then I'm on Blue Sky. But there's a little bit of a delay to Blue Sky. I will say that, people, the episode drops and people are already going crazy on Twitter, or so I assume. I usually have to wait until like midnight for the Daredevil stuff or not just Daredevil, but any of the anytime a show drops, it's usually a little bit of a delay. So I usually watch the episode, then I watch some of the reaction videos that YouTubers put out, and then usually, as I'm like going to bed, I start getting the stuff on Blue Sky about what people thought of the episode. And I was super surprised at all the CGI stuff. I was like, and I get it. I mean, again, we're going not really spoilers, but light spoilers. There's smoke in the first fight that somebody throws a smoke grenade into the place, and so there's a lot of smoke everywhere. And I will say, I do see the CGI smoke that it's not even really the CG, it's more the compositing, which is obviously part of it, but I think it's more the compositing, and what you were saying with some of the rooftop stuff I think is also there, especially when you consider a lot of the stuff that, if you remember last year when they were filming what we now know is episode 1, a lot of that stuff on set looked incredible. The stuff where there was that picture of Charlie Cox up on the fire escape in his full Daredevil stuff. And that is the shot where he lands on the roof in the show. it does not look as good as it did even in real life. So I do totally get that. I think it's got a little bit of that murky look to it. But also that's just kind of like how everything looks these days. Like, I don't think that's a particular problem with the MCU. Particularly considering I think the whole rest of the show looks fantastic. Once we get past kind of the dark, the literal dark nighttime stuff in that first episode. Which does that concern me, given the fact that when the show eventually circles back to the Daredevil part of it, it's probably going to be nighttime. It's probably going to be rooftops, maybe. But I'm confident that it'll look good. Maybe I'll just start there because it's something that you didn't touch on, because I agree with everything that you said. The cinematography in this show, I think is like incredible. I think that episode 1 looked really, really good. I think episode 2 looked fantastic. I mean, I texted you this. I was like, I thought the direction and just the look of episode 3 was like, I mean, it blew me away. It like blew me away. Some of the interior courtroom stuff, it just looked phenomenal. Particularly, again, not really spoiling anything, but there's a scene where Matt is totally alone in the courtroom, and the light is pouring in on one side of his face, and just you see all the dust in the air and everything, and it feels like he's really there, you know what I mean? But also in kind of a different way than even the Netflix show did. I feel like this show's doing a lot more with like lighting and stuff like that. Even some of the stuff with Hector in the jail cell, I thought looked pretty good. I also like I'm just trying to focus on some things that you didn't hit on, but obviously we're going to circle back to everything. I like a lot of the new characters. I wasn't sure about this isn't because the character's poorly written. What is the new partner's name? McDuffie, but Kirsten McDuffie. I wasn't sure about her in the very first scene. But particularly after 3, I'm totally on board. On board with her. I think she's fantastic. And then I think what I've seen a lot of people agree with, and I want to get your thoughts on this. I think that Cherry is like an incredible character. I mean, like, what a fantastic actor to cast in that role. I think the writing of Cherry is fantastic. He's a character I'm already rooting for, particularly with a big moment that he has in episode 3 where he kind of gets one over on one of the bad guys. I'm just like, yeah, like I love rooting for him. I think he's so good. And I like all of the also oh God, the doctor, the therapist, Matt's girlfriend. She is fantastic. Grace, maybe. I don't know. She
Heather?
is. Oh, sorry, Heather. Yeah, Heather Glenn. Is that it? Right. Yeah. She is fantastic. And then the other returning characters that we haven't mentioned yet, Wilson Fisk and Vanessa. They're going.
I don't know why I had it in my head that Vanessa was a different actress,
because she was in the original show. She was recast, and then in the reshoots they brought back the original. Maybe, and I don't give a shit about the tone. I don't care at all about the tone. Whatever. You were gonna recast Vanessa? What? That to me is like the most baffling thing about the original show is that, and they fully recast Vanessa. Like D'Onofrio filmed scenes with a different Vanessa.
Yeah,
I can't even fathom that. That is so crazy. She is such an important part of the original show and this show. And their dynamic, and it's just crazy to me that they thought that they could like do a different Vanessa. I mean, that's so wild. You know what? I'm going to kind of dig deep on Vanessa here for a second. Season 3 of Daredevil ends with her going, well, obviously it ends with, him going back to prison, but a couple episodes before that, Vanessa was like, I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of this empire. I want to be a functioning member of everything that's going on. And this season picks up right away with that. I think that she is just like a firecracker. She's got it right back. She fell right back into that character. Vanessa was always one of my favorite characters on the original show. And already, even with I don't even want to say limited screen time, because I feel like Vanessa, every episode, she's had a pretty dynamic, incredible scene.
Yeah, I would agree
particularly with that. Her introduction scene with the 5 families of New York was so good. I mean, she's just so good in that role. I just think it's fantastic. Honestly, my one gripe with the show is Michael Gandolfini. I'm like, he feels like
he just feels doesn't out of place.
Fit. Yeah, he feels out of place. It feels, and obviously all this can change if it's like, oh, by episode 6, you're like, oh, that's what's going on. Maybe it's like, oh, he's this person's son, or oh, he is important for this reason. And another thing, speaking of Michael Gandolfini's character that I love, that honestly, I will say, I was a little worried about going into this. I love the BB report. I love what they're doing with BB Urich. I thought it was going to be like, oh, they're bringing Ben's niece in to be like, a little blogger.
Yeah.
Man, her and Fisk's scene, again, we'll get to spoilers later on. Her and Fisk's scene at the end of episode 3 was like chilling. Like the way that they are using her to represent modern media. I don't know how political we want to get with this talk, but I mean, I think this show is going there. Very surprising. Honestly, I say this as a running joke, and we can start heading into spoilers for 1 and 2 after this. I say this as a running joke at work all the time. I think that this show finally really is MCU's Andor. Like, I think they're like the political messaging and how it relates to like what people are going through in our world today, and just the things happening in our world today, is like kind of astonishing to me that Disney Plus is willing to go there. And I've only really seen them willing to go there on one other show, and that's Andor. To really strike at the heart of like the commentary about what's happening in today's culture, particularly with the media and with Fisk, and just his very essence of, didn't people forget the other seasons? He did so many crimes. How could he ever get elected to an office as high as mayor? Criminals can't get elected to office. Take a look at reality.
Yeah, that is definitely one thing I said to myself. I was like, what are these people doing?
I don't want to sound like Johnny Roca here, but I mean, they're going there. This is one time where I would agree with him.
And
that, like,
speaking of just like getting elected to mayor, I think that also plays into when I was talking about how it seems fast, where first episode, he's not even like in the running yet. Like he is like just in the beginning, like he hasn't even put his name on the ballot or anything. And then it just like in the matter of 2 episodes, he's elected mayor. And it's like
in the matter of 1 episode.
I'm like, and you're like, when did that happen?
Yeah. The first episode, have you watched it only once?
Yeah, I've only watched it.
That's fair. The first episode, it does take place. It's like, again, this goes to the fast nature of it, but in spoilers, I'll explain why. I'm like, it is fast and it feels a little rushed, but I'm okay with that. First episode does take place, and I'm not even talking about the year ago stuff. I mean, like, since that, the first episode takes place over the course of like a few months.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, but it is fast. It is totally fast.
Well, it was after Foggy's death, wasn't it like a year?
Oh,
didn't it jump? I think it jumped a year. That's not it's first episode.
That's true. That's true. I just mean, do we want to enter full spoiler territory?
Oh, well, right now? I thought, okay, well, whatever.
That's what I mean. It's out there. I think you're fine. I don't think you're ruining anything for anybody. But yeah, let's jump fully into full spoilers for episodes 1 and 2, and then at the end we'll jump into spoilers for episode 3. So yeah, for episode 1 and 2. So just to lay it out, I watched the episodes like 3 times each, because I'm just like so happy to be back.
See, I'm just not a rewatch. I just wish I could. I can't do that. I'm just not a rewatcher.
I watch it in solitude once, if I really like it, I'll watch it again, and then I watch it with Brianna the next night.
Oh, fair
so
enough.
It's like, because she's working, so she's either working or she's tired from work. So that's usually why. And then obviously I watch like a million, not even really breakdowns anymore. I don't really, they're just kind of all over the place. But one guy, I watch his breakdown. He is like the timeline wizard of the MCU, and his videos are he's just so unlike, like, he doesn't even put his face on. He just does it with, basically makes his videos in like PowerPoint. But his videos are so good, and they're so insightful, like in terms of timeline stuff. So it's like She-Hulk is like summer 2025. Then Foggy happens in like October 2025, so just a few months after She-Hulk. And then we jump to October 2026. And so episode 1 takes place from October 2026 up to New Year's night. 2026. So now, like, episode 3 takes place, we're now in January of 2027.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's kind of where we go. So once we do the 1 year later, like, we're following Matt, but the TV behind him, we see him, he's in the race. We see him, he's getting support. Then we see him at the first debate. Then it's election night. Then now he's elected. Then he gives his, New Year's Eve address, or whatever you want to call it. So it does happen fast, but I get that. I think it might have been even weirder, because I think before all the reshoots and stuff, I think this show was just going to start, and they even reported as much, that this show was just going to start with Foggy already dead, with no scene of it happening, because he was never originally in the show. And I think it was going to start with Fisk already as mayor. So I think, even though episode 1 feels rushed, I think it feels rushed because it's going, okay, the original episode 1 that we shot, we have to bridge that episode, which is now episode 2, with the end of the original show. And I think they said we have 1 hour to do that. So I think it's like, to me, like, I'm fine with it, because I understand that it's season 1, episode 1. In my heart, it's season 4, episode 1. You know what I mean? I'm like, if we have a big catch-up episode, to kind of get us filled back in on everything, I don't really mind that, but I totally get that it does feel rushed.
I do think it's also tough, because you are going from, you're having these two characters in Foggy and Karen that were so integral to Matt as a character in seasons 1 through 3, and then you're obviously changing a big part of that in the first 10 minutes of this first episode. And then even after the year later, and then Karen's gone, and it's like, okay, now, so you just removed like the two biggest connections that Matt has. Now I'm supposed to get on board with all these new friends that he has, and I have no idea who they are, and it's just kind of like it's very jarring. It's like, okay, I don't know who these people are. You're going to have to give me like some time before I actually establish connection with these characters, because, you'd built connection to those other characters for, the span of however many years that show was taking place, like 5 years or something like that. So I think they do have a little bit of legwork to do in that area. As far as, like you said, Kirsten, I was kind of like, again, they just kind of throw her at you, where it's like, okay, I don't know who this is. Like,
that's my biggest, I feel the rushness of episode 1. My biggest problem with episode 1 is the exposition in the very opening scene. The fact that Kirsten's like, so Foggy, you were at what you were at the firm, what firm before? You were doing this? Well, these cops on the street. And then like the female cop that was talking to Cherry, or it's like, so many people retiring lately. It's kind of crazy. Even when Karen, Foggy, and Matt were walking, and they're like, oh, that's like 30% of the force in the past 3 years alone, which I think is interesting, that the past 3 years since everybody came back from the blip. So I think that's interesting, that it's like people's priorities shifted. Like retirements came earlier, and it's like, I like that there's a little bit of that like blip fallout in this show, of how it's even affecting like the working class. I think that's great. But yeah, that kind of stuff felt a little like ham-fisted. But again,
they open a firm together. It's like, who are you?
Yeah. And I will counter a little bit with the first show starts with, you don't know any of these connections or any of these characters. But granted, the first show exists. You can't pretend like it doesn't exist.
Right.
But also I think the new characters are already growing on me. But particularly I think the one that I was just instantly on board with was Cherry. Like, he is by far the standout for me so far. I just think that his dynamic with Matt is really, really good. And then obviously we're talking spoilers, not yet for episode 3, but just on episode 3. Episode 3 for me is really the place where Cherry and Kirsten really fell into the rhythm, where I was like, I'm sitting here watching the show, and we both agree that I think episode 3 is the best episode. You know what I didn't think even once about during episode 3? Foggy and Karen. Until Foggy came up in the episode.
Right.
But I was not sitting there going, man, you know what this show really could use right now is those guys. And I think that's a strong testament to the writing and some of the new dynamics and stuff. But I totally agree with you. We're just getting used to all this stuff, and it's like, it is a lot to come at us with. But it's also a lot for Matt to process. I think that the call out of Foggy in episode 3, I think stuff like that's going to keep happening, and we're going to keep seeing how Matt is dealing with these changes. But let's save that for episode 3. And I'm talking to myself. I'm going off. Episode 1 and 2. Let's just go for it. What spoilers do you want to go? Actually, think about where you want to go in episode 1 and 2. Wherever you want to go to talk about. Let's pull up Shelly in the chat's got a couple here, a really, really good one of them. It's a crazy comparison in a second, but Michelle in the chat says, I like how the setting of the streets makes more sense to what Hell's Kitchen is now. It's a mix of blight and new restaurants and housing. It is reflecting that more than the original show. Yeah, they kind of touch on that, where when he first meets Heather in episode 1, she's like, oh, Hell's Kitchen, tough guy. And he kind of says, he's like, well, have you been there lately? They kind of imply Hell's Kitchen's on the up, it is in real life. It's a lot better of a neighborhood now. And, like he said, it's a little bit of a better area. And I like that they're kind of displaying that. I also like that we're kind of getting out of Hell's Kitchen a little bit more. I like that a lot. Let's see. And then this one I think is fantastic for Michelle. It says, I feel like the character of Vanessa and the penguin Sophia are similar in their goals. Sophia, you just get it more in depth with all of the crazy. And then she also said, remember in Batman, Penguin became mayor and he had all sorts of issues. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Penguin and Kingpin have always been very similar coded characters in the comics, and they both have been mayor in the comics, and now they have both been mayor in live action. And we even 6 months ago when we were on here reviewing Penguin, a lot of people throughout that whole show were like, this guy's Wilson Fisk. It's like Oz Cobb is a very, very similar character to Wilson Fisk. In particular, a very similar character to this Wilson Fisk, even more so. So very, very interesting stuff. Fantastic points by Shelly in the chat there.
Two things I just want to touch on. One, I don't know how Bullseye's alive. Okay.
You got that surgery, man.
Something one thing that came up on Twitter that has been coming up recently was when they're fighting in the church in whatever season 3, I think it was.
Yeah.
And Karen hits him with the cross and he falls down from the balcony and lands on his back. And then at this one too, when he throws him off,
man,
I thought he was dead.
That shot when Matt, and I just love the way that shot and cut. It's just like the primal scream.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just goes up, he just grabs the side of his face and he just grabs him and just swipes him off the roof.
Yeah.
And then that wide where it's just complete silence and it's just
Right.
Like, that was I literally had to rewind it in that moment because I was like, holy crap. But yeah, not to get comic booky or whatever, but yeah, he gets because if you remember in the end of season 3, Fisk snaps his spine. Like
right.
he fully snaps his spine like Bane style. And he gets the surgery. That's the end credit of season 3. Is he's on the surgery table, and they, just like in the comics, in the comics, Bullseye has a adamantium skeleton just like Wolverine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but in the show, and again, it's not like they go into this because it happened between shows, right. Basically. He's got some sort of a metal skeleton, so that is why. So he did like a fall like that. He's bruised and like bad, but none of his bones would break. So that would be why. Yeah.
The other thing that I will be interested to see what happens is Heather being the therapist.
Dude, that reveal.
Vanessa.
That reveal. Oh, I just remembered too that we're gonna have. Okay, I'm gonna save that for when we talk about episode 3. But I just remembered that we got Muse in episode 2, where he was like, "Are you taking?"
That's a character I know absolutely nothing about.
Yeah, it's not a lot of people do like that. Yeah. That definitely don't feel out on that one. I barely know anything. But I like that they have that little fake out where she goes, "I'm meeting with a new client," and you expect it to be him, and then it's Vanessa and Fisk. I love that. I thought that's fantastic, and just what a great way to give Vanessa. And I'm only focusing on Vanessa because the two main characters of the show are Fisk and Matt. So it's like I'm not going to say what a great way to give Fisk something to do, because he's in half the show. He's in half the scenes of the entire show. Right. But what a great way to give Vanessa another layer of stuff to do is we have her feeling left out in the cold because she had this iron grip over the entire city for the entire time that Wilson was gone. And he just came back and took it away from her. And I get that. It's like, listen, man, I've been running this shit like without you. Like, to be honest, I don't really even need you at this moment. Like, I was running things perfectly fine. And so I like that we have that element of her feeling left out in the cold, and now this therapy element of them working on their marriage. I just think it's such a great setup for places to go. I mean, it's like, I hope that maybe Heather won't even last this long in terms of being alive, but I really hope that this therapy plot is like in season 2 as well. Like, I hope that we're not even just done with it now. I just think it's such a great reason to give those characters like incredible dialogue to just like give to each other. Yeah. That's another thing about this show is it's very dialogue based, you know, and not, I gotta be honest, I love a lot of the MCU shows, but not a lot of them are dialogue based, you know, like Hawkeye. That's a great example of Hawkeye and Agatha. I think are two great examples of shows that have a lot going on, but at their core, they are dialogue based and about the relationships between the characters. And I really think it's those three. It's Hawkeye, Agatha, and Daredevil so far that are really, really leaning into that. And for me, when it comes to TV shows, it's all about the dialogue. You know, it's the show could look like crap. And if the dialogue's incredible, it'll be incredible. But yeah, I'm trying to think.
One thing I'll say,
one or two,
also is just I'm interested to see. I feel like they're starting a lot of threads.
Yes, for sure.
So I'm interested to see how they all either resolve or don't resolve. With, you know, different villains or heroes or, you know, just a lot of different stuff happening. And then again, like we said, you got, I guess, you know, I'm assuming it will be flashbacks in season 2 with Karen and Foggy or something, at least Foggy, because
I wouldn't be surprised if Karen comes back fully into the show.
Yeah.
And then Foggy, obviously, I would assume it would be flashbacks. You know what would be awesome is flashbacks of them in the blip. That would be awesome. Although I loved the headcanon of Matt was just so angry in Echo that I loved the headcanon that like he was super angry and super vicious throughout the blip because maybe Foggy and Karen got blipped, but it seems now more likely that they all survived the blip and they kept, you know, working because they obviously had like a functioning practice. But yeah, I think I just think it's really, really good, and I'm trying to think if there's anything I want to hit on in 1 and 2 before we move on. I mean, the let's go to the fight scene at the end of 2, right? So we have that's another thread that we have. We have the Punisher, obviously, has been present in all 3 episodes, but really in episode 2, and then really in episode 3, obviously we are building. Yeah, in logo only. Yeah, when I say the Punisher has been present, I mean like literally like his presence as an entity like in the MCU is really, really relevant in this show. What was your whole take on the on everything with everything at the end of episode 2? I mean, I just thought the intensity of that when he gets the call and he's like, Cherry, I need you to get to the park now. And then he goes to that guy, gets him out. He's like, you need to believe me. And then the cops show up. The cops don't know he's Daredevil, man. The cops are just going to murder a blind man in this apartment who is a lawyer in the case that they're working on. It's just crazy. And then obviously he goes full fist of the hand on them. But what were your thoughts on the whole kind of end fight from there?
I thought it was really nicely choreographed from what I could tell. I thought it looked really good.
For sure, yeah.
When he was saying like, you know, he was like, you don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. I thought it was both like saying like, you don't want to shoot me in the head. Don't do that. And it was also like talking to himself as like, you don't want to beat the shit out of them. I thought that, again, another point, I thought they both died. The way they hit the ground.
Yeah.
And I thought one of their necks snapped. I was like, I think both these guys are dead.
The main guy, Powell, he landed right on his neck.
Yes, that's what it was.
He landed right.
You know,
and Powell we see again in 3, but the other guy we do not see.
Spoiler, he shows up in episode 3.
Yeah, the guy who got his arm snapped, we do not see him again. So I think he might still be laid up in the hospital. But
so it was funny to see, like, not funny, but it was interesting to see how, you know, Matt's trying to kind of talk himself off the ledge. I feel like where it's like, you know, don't do this.
It's like what Foggy said. He said, I didn't want to give you the excuse.
Right.
Like Matt always, as far as he gets away from Daredevil, he always finds that excuse to come back. And granted, we're going to get into it right now, but I think in episode 3, with what happens at the end, I think his excuse is valid now. I think it's okay. Shit is like going down and we need to figure out what the hell is going on. Shit that he's directly involved with. You know what I mean? Last quick thing on episode 2, Wilson Fisk directly references Spider-Man. And that was like, let's go. Last time Wilson Fisk interacted with Spider-Man on screen, it did not end well. Man, Wilson Fisk in Spider-Verse is like crazy. That is like so crazy. What a great character. All right. So if you have not watched episode 3, probably dip out now. We are going to go into kind of full spoilers here. Again, we said it was going to be a quick show. It's going to be even probably less than 90-minute show tonight, but we appreciate you guys watching and calling in. Really cool to get your Geek On Network in here talking to us about all the MCU casting rumors. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. We are going to go quick couple minutes here on some spoilers for episode 3 of Daredevil Born Again. And then probably next week when we talk about episode 4, we'll talk about 3 again, probably a little looser, you know, on it since it'll have been a week by that point. All right. So episode 3, I mean, where do you want to go? I mean, this was like barely, well, there's one action scene.
Yeah. I mean, the whole episode was kind of a courtroom drama, I would say.
Yeah. Like maybe one of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. They did a really good job of building the suspense, you know, getting the witness there. Is he going to get there in time? And then what he ultimately does in the courtroom, kind of revealing this identity, which was crazy.
without even telling Hector.
Without even telling him.
Yeah.
Like, which
by the
ridiculous.
way, I want to get his name right, but Hector, Charlie Cox is British, doing a New York accent and saying the name Hector Ayala.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I think is a little tough for Charlie Cox. I think every time he announces it or pronounces it, it comes out a little mush mouth. He's like, Mr. Ayala. It sounds a little weird, but it's Hector Ayala. And I want to get the actor's name right because he unfortunately, and they Kamar de los Reyes. Kamar de los Reyes. He unfortunately passed away due to cancer about a year. Oh wow, I've never looked up a picture of him. I've never Googled him before. He looks very thin in Daredevil compared to what he looks like normally. Wow, that's so sad. But yeah, he kind of just like Chadwick Boseman, he was he was 50, he's 56. Whoa, I would have thought that he was in his like 40s. That's crazy that Hector's 56. But yeah, he unfortunately passed away in the original, after the original shoot of Daredevil. So he was not a part of any of the reshoots, which now obviously we realize that his role was not that big to begin with.
Do you think this was a pivot?
If it was a pivot, I don't think it was a pivot in the reshoots.
Because I will say, I felt as though, and after the whole kind of the whole court, the whole lawsuit and everything, and he was finding out, because when he did that, I was like, oh my god, he just revealed his identity. Like, he's gonna I was like, they're definitely coming after him.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought there might be more story for that character. And then obviously at the end, I was like, oh, I guess not. So I didn't know if they were going to, I feel like when Marvel wants to introduce a hero, I feel like they don't want to just do it and then not have them do anything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where in this case, I'm not going to say he didn't do anything because he stood for something, and
it was,
but we didn't really get to see him in action. You know what I mean? We did for like, a minute, but that was about it.
Yeah. I will say, I did see people say that like they didn't let this guy do any action. He was out of the suit, but he did have the action sequence in the subway.
That's what I meant saying. It was like a minute.
I just mean there's people out there, John Roca, that were like, to have this actor come in and not even give him a single fight scene. And I'm like, he did have a fight scene. Yeah. But the I have not listened to the podcast yet, but the official Marvel podcast and also Phase Zero with Brandon Davis, the showrunner and the director of the episode were on. It sounds to me like he was very sick even during the original shoot. So it sounds like I saw the discussing film quote. I haven't listened to the podcast myself yet, but the quote was like, we had to basically shoot around certain things with him, even back then, before any of the reshoots, just because he was so sick. So it does sound like it was, they did as much as they could. It kind of sounds like, which, is obviously terrible. But I will say, I don't think that the White Tiger is done on this show. Let's put it that way.
I think somebody will. I think there was gonna,
there is like
somebody takes the mantle or whatever.
There are many White Tigers in the comics, and a couple of them are already in this show.
Introduced. Okay.
Yeah. So I will say that I think that people are thinking that this character was cut down either due to his health or due to the reshoots. I think that this original first White Tiger was always intended to die at the end. That's just my personal opinion. But and also what I think logically makes sense for kind of where that character is going to go. Also, this is kind of cheating because it's using a casting rumor to kind of predict where the story's going. But if you remember, the very first rumor for who was going to play White Tiger was Jenna Ortega. So you can fill that in with what character in this show might take up the mantle. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Somebody that's in the courtroom in episode 3. So I think White Tiger is not done. But like you said, there's so many threads. We still have to get to the Muse arc. I kind of liked that it was like we got these 2 episodes massively focused on Hector, and then now we kind of, from a show perspective, we can move on to the next big arc. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's terrible that he passed away, but I think that he did a fantastic job in this episode and episode 2. I think he was great in both episodes, but particularly this one. And oh my God, the dialogue was so good. Like in the jail cell scene when they're talking about Hector, but they're actually talking about Matt. You know, just that. I love when a scene like that with 2 characters, one that we barely even know and one that we know extremely well, and you realize that there's like a double talk going on where Matt's really talking about himself, and then they put the button on the end of the scene with the, you know, you might be surprised how much you don't miss being him. You know, because it's like he's kind of finally conquered it. He's kind of conquered that inner devil in him, you know, no pun intended, but you know, probably not for long. But in that moment, Matt genuinely is like, I'm happy not being Daredevil. You know, like he tells Cherry in episode 1, and like Cherry tells him, he's like, for whatever it's worth, I like this Matt. I like the Matt that I've seen in the last year, the Matt that takes care of himself, you know, takes care of his community, but in other ways. But I think you can only keep the devil locked up for so long, and I think we're getting there. But yeah, I want to get your thoughts before we close out here. Just take me through the sheer holy shit moment of the end of that episode, because for me, it's so funny because I watch these things multiple times.
Yeah,
I know scripts like the back of my hand. I watch things like in a very analytical way. Man, when he stepped out of the shadows and blew that guy's brains out, I did not see it coming at all. I thought we were going to get Hector for 3 more episodes. I was like, what's going on in this alley? What's he looking at? And the guy just comes up and blows him away. So what were your thoughts on that? And was it Frank?
I would say as soon as his identity was revealed, I thought in my head that
the clock was ticking.
Happen. Yeah.
See, I was just so caught up in it. I thought didn't even cross my mind.
Right. I was surprised at how just brutal it was. So that did shock me.
It took the headshot from Andor, and like the one in Andor is not even on screen.
Right.
This was real with a blood splatter and everything.
Yeah. I think it was Frank. I think. I have never seen. That's my next show I'm going to watch is The Punisher. To get more backstory on that character other than from the Daredevil show. But I don't know what the motivation is.
Just watch season 1.
Just watch season. Oh, really? Season 2 not great?
Terrible. Terrible.
Terrible.
I mean, it's John Bernthal, so it's like, for that element, you could watch season 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of like the writing, and so they were on autopilot with the Netflix shows at that point. I do not think that it was Frank. I think it was probably a cop, maybe even Powell. And again, I know we've been kind of skirting around it, but just how political the show is getting with straight up being like, there are like mush brain cops out there who literally think they are the Punisher.
Yeah.
In real life, I'm talking about in our world, there are cops and people in the army and everything like that symbol has very famously been co-opted by some bad actors, who think that they are Frank Castle.
Right.
And the fact that the MCU and the Walt Disney Corporation is going there with this show, that these cops think they're the freaking Punisher and think that they can do these things and go outside the law. I think is just really brave of them to like just, and whether you agree with that or not, or whether you think that's happening or not, I just think it's brave to go there with your story. You know what I mean? I think regardless of your thoughts on it, I just think it's a really bold move to introduce, because Andor touches on our politics in a sci-fi setting in a galaxy that doesn't exist. You know what I mean? This is touching on our politics in a universe in New York. You know, it's like if Coruscant was Washington D.C. It's like this is, yes, it's the MCU, and yes, there's magical amulets and stuff, which I love the magical amulets stuff. Where, ladies and gentlemen, he was not even wearing his magical amulet. Why would he go into the fight without his chief weapon? It's like I love that we're just in the MCU and we don't have to call things like the incident anymore. We can just straight up call things the way that they are. I love that. But yeah, the fact that is my biggest takeaway from the show overall is how good the writing is, and the fact that seemingly with this Punisher storyline, they're really going after something, I think. And this show is really trying to say something. And to kind of bring it back to the review part of the MCU, I love Agatha. I love a lot of these shows. A lot of them, like, they're not saying anything important. You know what I mean? And it's like, this feels like, whether they stick the landing or not, I'm going to give this show credit always for saying something. I mean, this is like 10 times more political than the latest Captain America movie. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's crazy to me. Like, there was almost no politics in that. And I think that's the nature of television, that, you know, you can buy yourself a little more leeway with the story that you want to tell. And I think that this show, last thing I'll say here, I just think this show's doing a great job at trying to say something. And that is, to me, like, you know, I think every show that comes out, you go, is this show going to justify its existence, aka justify me taking time out of my week to watch it? And Daredevil Born Again for me so far has absolutely, boom, zenith, pinnacle, top every week. It's what I'm watching. It's what I'm excited to watch. And in only 2 more weeks, we get another double episode. So very excited about that. But go for it. Also that double episode, I think, is the Punisher, like Fred Castle. So what, final thoughts from you? Anything else you want to touch on?
Yeah, I just think it's a really good start. Again, a bounce back for, you know, MCU that's been really struggling lately.
Honestly, though, 3 heater shows in a row.
Yeah,
Agatha, Spider-Man, and Daredevil, in my opinion.
Yes, I would agree with that. And really excited to see where the show goes. And, you know, hopefully, I would be interested to see what they were coming up with before they had to turn around and do something different. But so far so good, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, they straight up, I mean, obviously he passed away, so we know that all this Hector stuff was all part of the original show. So to me, at least that, I mean, I don't know, maybe that original version of the show wasn't going to be as bad as maybe they were fearing, or maybe there's just stuff coming later that you know, it seems like the people behind the scenes knew better than us. You know what I mean? Like, whatever they thought was best for this seems to be working out. So I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to enjoy this ride. But yeah, guys, let us know. Thank you guys for watching. It looks like we're going to wrap up right at 90 minutes. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks to Chuck for calling in from Get Your Geek On Network, which can be found on YouTube. So shout out to them. Thank you for Shelly for chatting. And thank you to everybody that watched throughout. I think at one point we got up to like 8 concurrent viewers. So really appreciate when we can get a lot of conversation going and people calling in and everything like that. So excited to get your thoughts too. If you're catching this on a replay or anything, which, you know, a decent amount of people do, I want to say comment down below. I want to get our comments up on some of these videos. I mean, some of these live streams we do, sure, we have about 10 people watching at the same time live, but then some of them get up, you know, they're getting up to 60, 70 people watching them. So comment down below, like drive it up, share it with some of your friends. Let us know what you're thinking of Daredevil so far. Who do you think Sadie Sink is going to play? What do you think of some of the X-Men casting that Chuck brought up? What was the other thing that we talked about? The Oscars. What did you think of the Oscars as well? Let us know all that stuff down below. That'll do it for me. I've been one of your hosts, Sean Monk.
I've been your other host, TJ Cornwell. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and we will see you next time.